when we're so afraid of being angry or sad or scared that we avoid it and resist it, we don't allow ourselves to just pass through it, to fully feel it as a human emotion and fully allow ourselves to sit with it. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy End of the Year celebration. So happy to have you here with us today. Today is going to be a great day. I am so excited to chat with you today. Today we are posing the question, are you keeping busy to avoid feeling? Oh, I don't know how hard this is hitting for some of you today, but perhaps this is exactly what you've been doing this holiday season. You know, we're supposed to be taking a break. It's the holidays. It is Christmas break. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas break, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, you are in a break. You are likely, if you're a mom, experiencing school break, winter break. If you are in business, you are likely taking a little bit of time off, either over Christmas or New Year's. And if you're not, if you happen to be like my husband and he is on call for the hospital, so not taking a break, if you happen to be a FedEx worker or a UPS truck driver, and we need you right now to deliver all the gifts, I honor you and I thank you so much for doing what you're doing. And I'm going to be permission for you to take a break. Even my husband, I'm going to remind him of the importance of getting on his tractor and just moving snow back and forth, which for him is his favorite happy place, just to take a break and to just be with himself for a few minutes, because I know he's going to be working hard this holiday season. You know, it's funny because it's supposed to be a relaxing time of year. And if you are a business owner or a mom, you know that it's also the craziest time of the year. We get inundated with extra requirements of our time and attention over November, December, no matter what. So on top of our regular schedule, we find ourselves putting pressure on ourselves to go to the Christmas cookie decorating and cookie share and the concerts that all the kids are putting on at the end of the year. And although it's a little bit less than it was before COVID, we are creeping right back to it. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel what I feel? We're getting back to the end of the year piano recitals and gingerbread house making, and we tell ourselves how important it is to take our kids to all these events with Breakfast with Santa and the Polar Express ride. It can be a lot. And what ends up happening is this time of year feels busier than any other time. It's supposed to be the exact opposite. And so my question to you is, are you creating busyness to avoid feeling? Now, this is a deeper question, because often what we tend to do is give ourselves to-dos so that we don't have time to sit with our own emotions. Many of us have had losses, have lost loved ones, have lost our jobs, have lost opportunities, and are now finding ourselves possibly feeling sad or angry or scared, and busy ourselves with all the opportunities that the season provides so that we just don't have to sit with that feeling. And so that's my question to you today. Are you busying yourself away from feeling? This became very clear to me 2 weeks ago. One of my team members, now this was on Thursday morning, right before the morning huddle, I noticed she was visibly upset, and she was crying and reaching for Advil. And I said, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And she said, "On Monday, my closest friend passed, and I just have to get through. I've made it through all week. I just have to keep up, focus on work, just keep busying myself because I just can't face this. And just this morning, I drove past her house and I had all the feelings come, and I'm just trying to focus on work again just to get through." And I thought, wow, her body is telling her now, 4 days in, that she hasn't given herself a chance to sit with this emotion of loss. And now her body's beginning to give her real signals. Sister, slow down. You need to face this. You know, when I lost my brother in 2016, he passed in January of 2016. 2016 became my most productive year ever. In all the decades of running businesses and treating patients and growing teams and starting businesses from scratch, in all that time, 2016 goes down in history as being my most productive year. And you wonder why. I spent that entire year busying myself away from feeling the feelings of the loss of my brother. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some beautiful gifts that my brother's passing brought into my life, and I am forever grateful to him. Subsequent to his passing, I was so clear on what I needed to do in my life and to follow my passion and follow my dreams. That very visceral idea of we only have so much time, and to stand in our truth and to follow through with what means so much to us is so important. And that became crystal clear after my brother died. But I was using it as an excuse not to feel the feelings. I was busying myself to such an extent that I never was able to fully grieve and pass through that emotion to the other side. If you've ever read Dante's Inferno, you know that Dante had to dig through all those layers of hell. And when he thought he was at the worst point, he had to go even deeper. And it wasn't until he was courageous enough to push through that last level of hell that he came out the other side to bliss. And that's true every single time, because the definition of suffering is pain plus resistance. And when we don't allow ourselves to feel that pain, when we're so afraid of being angry or sad or scared that we avoid it and resist it, we don't allow ourselves to just pass through it, to fully feel it as a human emotion and fully allow ourselves to sit with it so that we can come through to the other side. If you've ever done this, you know the power of it. You know, if you just give yourself an opportunity to give a good cry, just feel really sad, eventually you stop crying. In fact, you get to a place where you don't want to cry anymore. That pain is just a little bit less. But avoiding facing it, makes you hold on to it, and you never get through to the other side. Even anger. I mean, I've felt this before where I've thought, gosh, I should really not be angry by this anymore. I've worked through this. I am personally developed. I am beyond this. Why is this triggering me? And if I keep saying to myself, I shouldn't be feeling it, I need a new mindset, and avoiding how I feel, it takes longer and longer and longer for me to get over it. If I just give myself the permission to feel the anger, damn it, I am angry. It is triggering me again. Here I am. I'm going to sit with this anger. The other day, I actually ran outside and I screamed at the top of my lungs. Now, I don't know if you have this opportunity. I'm very lucky here in the backwoods of Maine. I feel very comfortable doing it. I don't know if you can find that place in your car or a private place where you know you can just let go. But after screaming it out, I kind of didn't want to scream anymore. Took away a little bit of the pain. I could walk through it. I allowed myself to feel it, and then I could pass through it to the other side. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. And that's exactly what I did in 2016. After a full year of busying myself, avoiding the pain, I realized in the following January 2017 that I had not gotten over this. I was depressed, I was sad, and I wasn't allowing myself to face it. And when I gave myself permission to do so, I was able to work through it. This technique, actually, I learned when I was pregnant with my third child. My first two children, I had epidurals during my childbirth, so I didn't feel a thing for either of them. I was pushing and not even knowing what I was doing. And both of them were born with these huge hematomas on their heads because who knew that I pushed so hard that I was actually hurting them? I couldn't feel anything. So when I had my third child, when I was pregnant with her, I decided I am not going to do this again. I want to feel what I'm doing. I want to be in control. So I took this class in hypnotherapy in preparation for labor and delivery. And the whole premise of hypnotherapy is allowing yourself to feel the feelings of childbirth, to feel the contractions, to understand what they're there for, and then to release. And if you think of the premise of it, it makes so much sense. When you're in fear and you feel that first contraction and all your muscles tighten up and we get so scared, we make it worse. It's the resistance to the feeling that's making it worse. But let me tell you, when you allow yourself, oh, I feel it. I feel that. What it is a contraction. My muscles are doing what they're supposed to do. They are squeezing that little baby down the birth canal. This is the way it's supposed to be. And you can feel the feeling and avoid the fear of it. And it's so interesting because if you think about fear of anything, even pain, fear of loss, fear of the unknown, what we're really afraid of is the imagination of it, what might happen. When something actually happens to you, you feel the pain and then it's over, right? I mean, that was true in childbirth. I felt it. Yeah, it was painful. I relaxed and then it was over. You know, it's the fear, the anticipation of the pain that's actually more painful. That's where the suffering sits. The suffering sits in us wondering, what is it going to be like? Being so afraid of what it is. But when we can face it, we can pass right through it. And, you know, what's really interesting is if we get into this habit of busying ourselves to avoid facing an emotion, we lose out on the good emotions too. Because just like you can busy yourself from feeling the uncomfortable feelings, you can also busy yourself from feeling the wonderful feelings as well. You know, we miss out when we've gotten into this habit of busyness. And this time of year is one of those very classic examples where we create busyness for the sake of busyness. Well, suddenly I find myself on Saturday with nothing to do and I think, oh, well, then let me go shopping for Christmas crackers. Or now I have time to maybe make gifts for everyone. We start creating these busyness rituals and not allowing ourselves to just sit in front of the fireplace and enjoy this moment. So even in business, we do this. During the pandemic lockdown, at least in the dental world, I know this was very easy to do. We suddenly found ourselves without anything to do. We couldn't go to work. And how quickly we found ourselves busy work to do. I was guilty of it. And what I was really doing was avoiding the fear of what might be with my business. And I noticed it very quickly. And I'm not saying to ignore issues. Of course, when something comes along, you can handle it. No problem. I'm saying to not avoid feeling something and using busyness as a way to distract you. And creating new lists and goals and new to-do items just to avoid feeling something, because that's when the suffering sets in. So just like busyness And avoiding and suffering is the definition of suffering is pain plus resistance. So can the definition of happiness be joy plus the allowance of it? So are you so busy that you're forgetting to feel the full feeling of joy when you find it? Are you passing right through it? When you catch that moment in front of the fireplace with your sweetheart or with your child opening up a present, can you be there in the moment and allow the joy and not be busying yourself with cleaning up the house at the same time, but give yourself permission to sit a little longer in front of the fire or sit on the phone a little bit longer with your loved one and not be busying yourself for entertaining or for getting to the next task? Give yourself permission to feel the feelings and acknowledge when you're busying yourself to avoid them. And that's really the first step. When you recognize, you know what, I'm creating lists here. This really doesn't have to get done. I don't really have to send out Christmas cards this year, or I don't really have to make Christmas presents for my neighbors. I don't really have to make the meal from scratch. I can have everyone bring a potluck. I just need time to sit with my emotions. And perhaps that's missing and longing for somebody who used to be in your life who isn't here this Christmas. And that's okay. Give yourself permission to sit with that feeling, and I promise you, you'll feel better on the other side. Because when we face those feelings, that is the therapy we need in order to process them. And holding on to them and resisting them is what really bungles things up and makes it difficult to get through to the other side. So, speaking of busyness, I would love for you to, over this holiday season, come over and join us on our private Facebook group called the Business of Happiness podcast, the Business of Happiness Hive. The Business of Happiness Hive is not a busy business. It's a great opportunity for other business leaders, business owners, leaders of their dreams, leaders of their families to come together, and we support each other in this kind of common mindset where we give ourselves a new perspective of running business. So stepping outside of the old way of doing things and understanding the superpower of tapping into these softer skills and personal development as enormous strengths as new leaders as we go into this next year, reimagining ourselves as leaders and our businesses in a new way that is so much more empowering and so much more fulfilling and really so much more impactful on our communities. So check us out, the Business of Happiness Hive. Ask to be invited in. We cannot wait to meet you, and we look forward to supporting you always. And until then, please have a wonderful holiday season. Happy Christmas to all of those of you who celebrate Christmas. And remember, when you feel good, when you allow yourself to feel good, that's when you as a leader can do good. Happy Christmas.